Hello, this is PamelaTopjian, your host for Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And this is the beginning of June. It's the beginning of Pride Month. So all month I am showcasing those holistic practitioners who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. So I will let my guests today introduce yourself and share what you do in the holistic healing world, please.
Hi, Pamela. Thank you so much for having me today. I am so excited that you're doing this.
Oh,
My
thank you.
name
Absolutely.
is Jessi Welch, and I am the owner of the Alchemist Lady. I do spiritual and lifestyle coaching as well as making holistic extracts.
Nice. So do you make them yourself?
They are made right in my kitchen.
Nice. I love it.
Yes, I've always made these for my family. I've been
Hmm.
doing this for, gosh, almost 15 years. Whew. I feel old when I say
I
that.
know, I know.
And I kind of got a little bit of a hair up my butt one day and I went, something that other people can benefit from.
Yeah.
And so I tested it out at a little holistic farm that was up the way from me, and
Oh.
it tested really, really great. And so I was able to get the website kind of added into the website and
Hmm.
really make a go of it. And I've gotten amazing feedback from people.
Nice, nice. So love that you're doing this in your own kitchen. It's kind of been something I've been toying around with or thinking in my mind. But just to make my own products or whatever, things that I use on my body and within my life, to make it in my own kitchen. Yeah, I would love that. And you
Do
can just
it.
experiment. Yeah, I love it.
Yes. The only thing I would recommend is making sure that you know your contradictions.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's where a lot of people get themselves into trouble is not understanding that, okay, this herb is safe, but it might not be safe for me because I take this or I
Yeah.
have this type of autoimmune disease. There's all kinds of different things that you want to make sure you know what you're doing.
So is that something that you feel like people often don't recognize or don't think about when they're doing that?
It's something that gets swept under the rug.
Yeah.
See it a lot with aromatherapy
Hmm.
specifically. Um, just best example I always give people is oil of oregano versus
Oh,
oregano essential oil.
oh, yeah, yeah,
They are two completely different
yeah,
products. One is safe to consume internally, one is not. And they are
yeah.
actually made with completely different parts of the plant.
Wow.
Companies who tell you that oregano essential oil is safe to internally consume.
Mm, yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
Most people do. It's brought up in my so I'm currently working towards my PhD
Oh,
in
okay,
integrated
awesome.
health. And it's been brought up in my classes that,
Yeah,
hey, you got to make sure you know your sources because
for
different
sure.
sources will say different things.
For sure.
And
Okay.
so there's enough science that people can find the information,
Yeah.
but you got to dig.
Yeah. And maybe because of this, maybe people will be more apt to do some research on their own before they ingest or use any essential oils or anything like that. Yeah, maybe they'll
Absolutely.
not just take what they hear from others and research for themselves because of
Yeah, it's
this
always a good
coming.
idea.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you mentioned on your website the difference between therapy and coaching. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
So I always tell people that therapy is where you go to have your mind dissected,
Yeah.
and coaching is where you go after the dissection is done so that you
Okay.
make choices for where you want the rest of your life to go. I can't diagnose.
Hmm.
That's another big difference. Therapy, you can get diagnoses.
Mm,
Coaching, you can't. One, it's illegal. Two, it's an ethical boundary because I don't have
right,
the school.
right.
Uh, but it really is. Coaching is where you take accountability for who you are, who
Mhm.
you want to be, and the actionable steps that you have to take to get there.
Yeah, nice, nice. So looking ahead, yeah,
Right. But
yeah,
also learn to stay in the present because we
yeah,
can't future live and expect ourselves to find wellness or
right.
happiness or joy or any other number of things.
If you're always waiting for something in the future, then you're not presently living for sure. Yeah.
Right.
So do you offer your services, is it remote or is it just in person or, one-on-one or in groups? So how does that work?
I primarily do Zoom sessions. I've
Okay.
done phone calls a lot as well. I tend to cater towards the neurodiverse community.
Yeah.
That's just something I've noticed along the way is that those are the types of folks that I tend to attract. And I think it's probably because I'm a little neurodivergent. Okay, I'm a
Hmm.
lot divergent. I was diagnosed with autism several years ago.
Oh, okay.
Um, so that tends to be the crowd that I cater to. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times in person is really hard. Easier to be able to do it in your own space,
Yeah.
over the phone, just be in your comfort zone when you're
Right.
working on hard things.
Yeah.
But the folks who I've worked with where I'm going into their house physically to help them clean and organize and overcome some hoarding tendencies and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. That's obviously something I can't do over
Yeah.
the phone.
Right, right.
I gotta be in your mess.
Yeah, yeah. So some of the services that you offer, you would do by Zoom, and others you have to do in person, of course. So yeah, good. So how did you first become interested in doing all of this that you do?
This is a really funny story. It's gonna make you
Okay.
laugh. So I have always been the matriarch of my friend group. It is
Okay.
something always come very naturally to me. In high school, I was the defender, right?
Hmm.
Very, very typical profile of a healer. And I had a week where I had every single person under the sun call me with a crisis, needing me to solve the crisis. And
Wow.
I looked at my husband that at the end of that week and that particular day, I think it was like 4 people that I had talked through their crisis. And I'm like, why am I not getting paid for this
Yeah.
stuff?
Right. All of this. Yeah.
Yeah. And right. And he looked at me and he goes, well, I don't know. Can you? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I better find that out. And that's kind of what led me to attending the school that I did and getting
Hmm.
all of the certifications so that I could have the skill set
Yeah.
to do what I do naturally, but then bring in those the mechanics
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how to really truly make an impact in folks' lives.
Hmm.
And it ended up just being something that I fell in love with.
Nice.
And I've actually been on sabbatical for a couple of years to have my fourth baby.
Oh, nice.
And so I've kind of been out of coaching a little bit and
Hmm.
focusing on, building up the extracts and the salves and all of that.
Oh,
And
great.
I am ready to get back into the coaching field once we move.
Okay, okay, yeah. So when you move, well, I guess it doesn't really matter because you do remote coaching. I was going to ask you if you're moving to a completely different area or, still in the same general area.
Yes and no. So I'm
Okay,
located in Arizona.
okay,
And people here differentiate it between West Valley and East Valley. East Valley is your Mesa, Gilbert, Santan, that kind of locale. And then
mm-hmm.
West Valley is what everybody thinks of when they think Phoenix. So we're going from East Valley to West Valley.
Okay, okay. So not real far, but kind of a
It's an
different,
hour from where we are
yeah,
right now.
yeah. So, what do you wish that your clients knew before they came to you? How would you like them to prepare, if at all, or before they reached out to you, if anything?
That they're safe with me.
Oh, nice.
This is
Love
a
that.
judgment-free zone. And when I say no judgment, I really truly mean it. Right?
Nice.
This is a place where people can process their deepest traumas.
Nice.
And I have them do specific prep work. I actually make
Okay.
clients go through a fairly intensive onboarding process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a multi-page application. There's a couple of quizzes that I put them through just so that I am able to get a bit of a peek inside how their brain works. Then we go through an entire hour long initial call that
Mm-hmm.
determines whether or not they're even a good fit to work with me because I don't want them to waste time if I am not the person that is meant to be helping them.
Right, right. Yeah, because you never know how somebody found you, where they found you, or how much they know about you and your services and what you have to offer when they reach out to you. So yeah, that makes sense. And I have heard other people say that too, and that's such a great idea so that they can get to know their clients a little bit before and how to work with them and what they're seeking and if it's going to be a good fit. So that I think that's great. And I think that's something that a lot of newer holistic practitioners don't really do because they're like willing to take anybody and they're searching for clients and but yeah, it's probably better to even just start out doing that.
Setting those boundaries so you don't burn out.
Yeah. So one thing I want to ask too is, do you feel like you have had any kind of challenges being part of the LGBTQ plus community in your practice, in your holistic practice?
Unfortunately, yes. And
Yeah.
I think that that's going to become an even bigger challenge as we go through the next several years. Arizona has always pretty typically been a swing state.
Yeah.
And this year, for whatever reason, it took a little bit of a turn on us. I've always kind of seen it because we've struggled to get homeschooling services. I'm a homeschooling mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it it's just different. It's been different the last couple of years, and then
Mm.
it's really kind of escalated since around November.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I had to unfortunately pull product from a
Mm.
store simply because I was not comfortable selling my product in a space that aligned with values that went against who I am at my core. You
Yeah.
know, being LGBTQ is, everybody talks about, oh, well, stop shoving it in my face. Well, it's kind of your identity.
Yeah,
You know,
and what about everybody else? Are cisgendered, heterosexual, identifying people, are they not shoving,
yeah, don't
who they
stuff your
are?
service in my face then.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
such an absurd thought process to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
but I know it exists.
Yeah.
And so I unfortunately get clocked as a white Christian lady a lot. And
Mm.
I'm not calling out Christians. I don't want anybody to think that.
Yeah.
But that opens me up to conversations that if they had clocked me as LGBTQ, they probably wouldn't have been comfortable saying out loud because you can see the color drain from their face. When I'm like, you might want to rethink that conversation.
Yeah. Ugh.
Um, And so it's just knowing your spaces,
Yeah.
and it took me a really long time to be very out and proud on my website and my Instagram and all of my
Mm.
socials because of the conditioning I grew up with.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home where it wasn't okay to be gay. It wasn't
Oh
okay to be.
gosh.
And being out and proud
Hmm.
and being very open about it allows allies and other people in the community to go, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
someone I can trust. This is someone that I'm safe with.
Yeah.
And it also kind of filters out a little bit of the stuff that you don't want to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You
Because
already weed that whole part out. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not here to tell anybody this is what you need to believe
Hmm.
or this is how you need to operate in your reality.
Yeah.
I take the stance that if you want to have that thought process, that's fine. But you need to keep it in your house, just like I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you that, oh, you have to be a Norse pagan and
Yeah.
practice witchcraft
Yeah.
and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, as hard as it is to deal with all of that, you find your people by
Hmm.
not being quiet.
So would you have a message for maybe newer holistic practitioners who are part of the LGBTQ plus community? Would you have a message or advice for them?
Not specifically to the LGBT practitioners, but just as a whole,
Hmm.
set your boundaries early. Figure out the type of person that you want to work with, set your boundaries, set your office hours, and then
Yeah.
stick to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you don't, you get burned out so quickly.
Yeah. Great advice. So, I know that you are on Instagram and Facebook as the Alchemist Lady, and you have your website, thealchemistlady.com. So, where is the best place for people to reach out to you?
Probably email.
Okay, okay, and that's on your
I,
website, right?
yeah, I will be the first to admit that I'm awful about my social profile.
Yeah, and some people that's the best place, and that's why I ask, because
Yeah,
some people are like, I'm always on Instagram, just message me there. And yeah, so that's why I
I'd like
asked
to
that.
get to that point. Somebody teach me how to use Instagram, please.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little confusing.
Yeah,
For me, I just like jump on there and either post or respond and then jump off.
yeah, it's email and my website is really the best most
Okay.
days.
Okay.
Number because that is a textable number. People can actually text message me through the number listed on my website, and that's the most comfortable way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people, especially these days, would rather just send a text than an email
Mhm.
even. So,
Yep.
okay, great. Good to know. Good to know. And we'll have all that information in the description below so you can look over her website. We'll put all that information below. And before we go, do you have anything else that you would like to share or make sure that people know before we go?
Gosh, wasn't prepared for that
Yeah,
question.
sorry.
Oh man, dance your way through life.
Dance your way through life.
If I could say anything else to people that are looking for coaching, if you're not ready for it, just dance
Yeah.
and then figure out what you're ready for.
Dance your way through life. I love it. I love it. Thank you. What a great message. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jessi, for being my guest today and being my first guest for June Pride Month. So I'm really honored that you shared all you did today, and I wish you all the luck in all the newness you have coming up in your personal life and
Thank
getting back from your sabbaticals. So thank you again, and I hope wherever anybody is listening or watching, you will subscribe or follow. And again, please check out the description. I know a lot of people don't take that extra step, but please do that and see all that Jessi has to offer.
thank you, Pamela.